From what I understand, the FDA already has enough enforcement power as it is, and no one here, I'm sure, is against them exercising their mandate, which is to protect the consumers and really take harmful products off the market. That isn't the issue. It's the fact that they haven't proven that there is a safety issue, and that's the real kingpin of their argument, the linchpin of their argument.
We need a lot more information on the safety of all dietary supplements before we could even begin to figure out how to assure the safety of everything that's on the market today. If anything, FDA can be criticized for not doing enough to assure the safety of all dietary supplements. But without the data, we can't really answer the question of, what will we approve, what will we do for different categories. We're at the point where we are asking anybody with safety data to share that information with the agency.
So what I'm a little confused about, and anyone that can answer these for me, you mean to tell me that if I take my grandmother to a health food store and she has a cold and there's an FDA official perhaps in the background, I can't tell her to take vitamin C for a cold?
You could, but the store owner couldn't. If you're selling these things in addition to giving this advice, then you're making health claims. The FDA has a very broad definition of labeling. Labeling is really any promotional material, not just what's on the actual label. And so any health claim to promote a product would violate their regulations.
So they're selling these amino acids and they can't say that.
Right.
Now there is a new,
there's
a new standard that's now going to be applied next year with the NLEA that's coming into effect. And in the past, the claim has been on the label or on the sales literature associated with the product, and that's going to change. As of next year, they're going to have a new standard for what they call the
intended use.
Intended use.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Now, as of next year, intended use will be determined by the consumer, not by the manufacturer. Okay. What this means is that if you are buying the product for a particular use that is in the treatment, cure, mitigation, or prevention of a disease, then it is a drug, and you are buying it for a drug purpose, and the FDA applies. Okay. And so, in a sense, what they've done is they've now said that they can say whatever this compound is being used for, that's how it's going to be regulated, regardless of whatever the manufacturer says or doesn't say about it.
And could you just tell me if you know anything about what Congress or Washington's doing about vitamins? Do you know anything about it?
They're questioning whether people can sell them because they can medically prove that they have a benefit, or making it more of a controlled substance. I don't think that's valid. I think you can make up your own mind what you want to put in your own body. I would be upset that they would add another layer of bureaucracy and probably expense to the issue. So I've heard about it and I don't like it.
Okay, I thank you.
You're very
Thanks
welcome.
a lot.
Have you ever gotten a ticket by the police force?
I have.
You have? Has anybody else ever gotten a ticket?
Sure.
You've gotten a ticket. Several gotten a ticket. So we know that.
Anybody not gotten a ticket?
Yeah, that's good. Who hasn't gotten a ticket? That's better said. So most of us have gotten tickets, and when you go to work, do you answer to somebody when you go to work?
No, I run my own company.
You answer to yourself.
Yeah.
Hopefully with a good conscience.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when we lived at home, we answered to our mother and fathers. And where am I going with this? Who does the FDA answer to?
Well, that's a very good question. And in fact, there was a meeting not too long ago, because if you look at the organizational table of the United States government, which is a big table, the FDA is under the Department of Health and Human Services. So officially, Dr. Kessler, the Commissioner of FDA, answers to Donna Shalala, the Secretary of Health and Human Services. But in fact, the Department of Health and Human Services for many, many years has allowed FDA to be an autonomous agency answering only to the United States Congress.
And I was at a meeting with the Department of Health and Human Services in Washington, D.C. earlier this year, and we asked them that question about oversight of the FDA, and they said basically, we won't do it unless Congress says that there's a need for it to be done.
Is this a fair thing? Let's just start with the FDA. Do you think it's a fair regulator?
I would like it to be a fair regulator. I hope that it thinks it's a fair regulator. But in fact, there is considerable and mounting evidence that there's an interinstitutional within FDA substantial bias towards one point of view, that is a pharmacologic drug orientation point of view, and against other point of views, including food, food safety, and food supplementation. So I think that those who have studied FDA in depth have rather consistently come to the conclusion that FDA is not a fair regulator. One of the critical issues here is about the benefits that can be attributed to certain natural substances or essential factors. And FDA is saying that they would like to be the clearinghouse. They would like to make the judgments about this information. Yet until very recently, FDA had not found any essential factor to have any noteworthy health benefit. And FDA very clearly says that they will know the truth when they see it, and only their consensus, their internal consensus, will be sufficient for health benefit statement, not the scientific community at large. For example, we have abundant information that fiber in the diet reduces the risk of cancer. My hunch is that everybody in this room has heard that. But FDA does not recognize that abundant scientific information. Antioxidants are also substantially helpful for many forms of cancer, both reducing the risk and in the management, in the overall management of cancer. And yet FDA isn't close to recognizing that benefit. With regard to heart disease, for men, 500 milligrams of vitamin C a day, which is about 10 times the RDA, but not as high as many people take each day. For men, 500 milligrams of vitamin C a day was associated with 5 years more life with regard to their heart disease risk. There's no drug that I can prescribe in this country that can provide an extra 2 years of life for people at risk, let alone an extra 5 years. So there is substantial information that we think should be available to people because of the safety, so that they can make informed choices. And we believe that you should not rely upon a regulatory agency to reach scientific consensus information. That really should be left to the learned societies and to the informed public.